Hello everybody and welcome to the first episode of Chatsu Café. Hope you're having an absolutely fantastic Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Time is a flat circle, guys. Yeah, today I am in the cafe. I can't believe it. I mean, look, we've got a board, we've got a menu, we've got Pandalorian patrons over there, we've got a Chatsu Café. Oh my god, it is the bee's knees. I am such a boomer. And joining me today, as you can see by this cardboard cutout of my friend here, it's Martin MacAlistair. Martin, welcome to the Chatsu Café.
Why my limbs not moving? What happened to me?
Martin, please. Are you okay?
I was going to do a bit where I opened a can of Coke on stream, just to make it the cafe thing, but I've noticed I've got quite a nice cake and like a milkshake in front of me, so it doesn't quite fit the theme, but I'm good. I've been wanting that for about 20 minutes.
It's like the Telltale Heart. Telltale Coke, sponsored by Coca-Cola.
How are you?
Cannot complain. I am excited, I am nervous, but more so excited about doing this. I've got my cup of tea out of reach, and I'm afraid I'm going to break the immersion by reaching for it. Oh, my tea, my longing for tea. Hold on, let me see if I can remember my emotions. The more accurate. Yeah, no, that's the ooh. I mean, you can't even see what I'm doing.
I get it. Oh my goodness.
Oh, there we go. Oh, I can't get my tea. Oh no.
Terrifying.
$1,000 well spent.
I've never seen you make any of these emotions in real life now.
It's true, I'm stoic. I'm a stoic boy, give me a break.
So true.
So true, I know. That's why you don't come round anymore to do these in person. Well, I mean that, and I've got a cutout of Martin just in the corner, for inspiration.
When I gave you that for Christmas, you were like, what do I want a giant cutout of you for? But it's won you over time.
I mean, it's paying in dividends, isn't it?
Yes.
It's paying. I've got a whole load of them.
Every Christmas since I've known you, I've just got you a new one.
It's true, and they're all just slow,
Yep. Actually, I said to you before we started that I had a bit like a starting feed off for this, and I was thinking about this episode on the car earlier, and I was thinking about like what we're going to chat about, and I was thinking, it's really nice because we've got such a long history together that we've got so many things we can pull up on, and it got me thinking. I've got two numbers here, right, for you to guess.
Oh no.
Well, for you to guess between. How long have we known each other?
How long? Oh.
In years is my number.
Not in minutes.
Not in minutes, no. I was going to do seconds, but obviously it kept moving up as I was writing it.
That's a good question. Oh.
So I have two I think we can put down, because I think there's a bit of debate between which one's true.
See, at minimum, it's over 15 years.
Correct.
And that is scary. Because 15 years ago, you and I were still young enough. 17, 18 years, I would say, that we've known each other.
Cool. So, I've got two numbers. So, 17 is what I had for us sort of being friends. So, that was like when we first ended up in each other's classes at school and stuff. However, I think we went to the same, what do they call it in American? Elementary, but primary school. We went to the same primary school. And I think that's 27 years ago.
27 years ago?
I think so.
Excuse me, I'm going to check my photos to see if I was on the Titanic. I'll be right back.
It's been 27 years.
At the same time I've actually ruined my own joke. I forgot what that's called, the necklace.
Oh, no idea.
I was about to say the Maid of the Mist, but that's in Niagara Falls. 27 years, I cannot believe it. So, see when you were mini Martin back then, did you imagine this is where you would end up?
No, I thought I was going to be an astronaut, if I'm honest, or like have a flying car by now.
You're an astronaut of podcasting.
Yeah, that's true. I've travelled the world so much faster than I would have done in a spaceship. I did want to be a wrestler when I was little, so like I kind of done one of the things that I wanted to do when I was little, but I also wanted to be a bin man. I haven't done that yet, so I think that might be a retirement plan, is like try to become a bin man. I think that's so cool, like see the lorries and stuff, brilliant.
I mean, to be fair, you'd be the slowest bin man. Well, bin men are slow.
I was going to say, I don't know, some of those guys could throw me a bit. What did you want to be when you were younger? Did you have like a dream?
Oh, that's a good question, because podcasting wasn't a thing.
I was going to say, podcasting didn't even exist to know about it.
And for anyone thinking, no, I do not want to be a red panda.
That was a side effect of everything else.
This isn't a life choice, it's a career move, okay? Good question. I think I did what every kid did. I flip through all the different ones. It's like, oh, do you want to be a footballer? Oh, do you want to be a fireman? Oh, do you want to be this and that? At one point, I think I probably wanted to be a Super Saiyan. At one point, I was like, oh, maybe teaching would be a cool thing. And then I was like, nope. Nope. Do you know what's ironic? See, when you're younger, you have all these different career options and then they tell you can be this, you can be that. But then when you get to uni, they're like, okay, you have to choose one thing. And then after uni, it's like, I could have been a bin man. I could have been a red panda, Could have been anything. This is depressing Satsu service here. All I'll say is 27 years ago, when we probably knew each other, I honestly didn't expect we would be sitting here. And again, that's not like a clairvoyant thing. I'm not going to lie, I'd be very surprised if you'd predicted this.
I was going to say, 27 years ago, I don't think the internet was working. It was dial-up, if that, at that point. So this was a far-off dream to have a live stream of stuff going on.
I mean, that is true, actually. Now you've got phones in your pockets and kids on your lawn, Now the world has changed and not for the better. It's scary.
Let's fast forward a wee bit. So 27 years ago, so I think that's when we probably would have first met, but then like 17 years ago, that was kind of when we started becoming friends. So let's bring the time up a bit. So we're not reminiscing too hard about the 90s and get stuck there.
But my yo-yos. Martin, my yo-yos.
My pogs.
My pogs.
My Beyblades.
Have you heard of Chatsunami? It's back. Beyblade form. But yeah, sorry. Please continue.
Oh no, I didn't really have a bit for that. I was just going to say, let's get into the noughties instead of the 90s. Because I think we kind of sort of become closer friends at the end of school into sort of university time. A little older, a little less mini Martin.
Medium Martin.
Medium Martin. I like that. I'm trying to think of like small Satsu, standard Satsu.
That's how I introduced myself on my CV now. It's like standard Satsu. Do you know what the terrible thing is? I went to reach out my hand there and I forgot I don't have hand tracking. There you go. Take my hand, Martin.
Put that way.
How rude. But no, honestly, even in the 2000s, I don't think I would have predicted that. I think I was talking to, our friend and fellow co-host Andrew about this, and how if we had started a podcast in university, it would have been entirely different. Do you feel that way as well with your content journey and things, that everything you would have put out there would have just been totally different?
Oh, totally. And I think as well, in many ways, I'm quite lucky. I think that I didn't think to start these things earlier. Because you're laughing, but you know me a bit better than most other people do. And I was not the greatest of persons throughout my teenage and early 20s. And it wasn't really until my mid-20s that I kind of became who I am today. So I'm kind of glad I didn't have social media as much, making documenting what I was up to. I'm glad there's not much documentation for what I got up to. Not that I got up to anything terrible or illegal. I'll put that in the bud. But I wasn't a very kind person. I wasn't as good a person as I am now. I did a lot of soul searching in my mid-20s. So no, it would have been very different. And I'm glad it wasn't there. What about yourself? What do you think would have happened to you?
Now, that is a good question. I don't think it would have continued. I have done a lot of different hobbies, I suppose is the right word for, well, not for Chatsunami, but even pre-Chatsunami. As you know, I never shut up about language learning. I mean, I've got Duolingo in the back burner, just sitting there like an Egyptian mummy, I would say.
Oh, yeah.
Between language learning, between writing, between so many. Do you remember, and this is going way, way back, this is in the lore, by the way, this is in the Martin Satsu lore here, that we used to run a gaming group on Bebo, of all places.
Yes! I forgot about that.
How could you? You said you'd never.
That was the name of the group. Martin never forgets about this group. That's so specifically weird. I totally forgot about that. Wow. That lit up a part of my brain there that I just, that was obviously just closed off. I genuinely forgot about that.
Did you, actually?
Yeah, genuinely. I thought you were going to mention the Doctor Who stuff, but yeah, that's...
Oh, yeah.
I forgot all about that gaming thing on Bebo.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, it was on Bebo, and for anybody joining us in the cafe right now, first of all, hello, make yourself welcome, have a cup of tea or coffee, hot chocolate, maybe a snack, and listen to us reminisce. But if you know what Bebo is, please let yourself be known to us, because I feel crazy when I talk to people about Bebo. I always say, oh, do you remember Bebo? Bebo was amazing. And they're like, what, you mean MySpace or Facebook?
I think that's the thing with Bebo, is it existed in between Facebook, if that makes sense, because Facebook when it first started was was kind of an older person's thing, and MySpace was dying off, and this Bebo came up, but it was only there for such a short time because all the celebrities were starting to use Twitter, and Facebook was kind of still kicking up. So yeah, Bebo was such a small window in time.
Yeah, because I think it was mainly UK-centric, wasn't it?
Yes. I don't know, I said that so strange, but yes.
Yes.
Who was in your, like, top 8 Bebo friends?
Well, you, of course. I didn't know Andrew back then, but I'm sure he would have been. I don't even know if Andrew did have Bebo. I'm going to have to ask him that. I'll ask him that when we record Animation Month.
Right in the middle, just save it for right in the middle of the episode. Hey, you ever had Bebo?
It's like, now I know you're talking about the philosophical ramifications of Detective Pikachu here, but have you had a Bebo? Yes or no? Our friendship depends on this. I honestly think that was the peak of social media. I know it's rose-tinted glasses, but the only misinformation you had, right, was, you know, those YouTube videos of Spider-Man 4, and they were convinced that Jim Carrey was going to be Carnage, right?
That, and do you not remember we used to get a lot of the chainmail kind of things, like the copy and paste, like if you don't copy this into you have terrible. I know we still get a lot of that now, but when we were younger, it was so much more convincing because we were young. It was like, you know, there was stuff in there that was pretty scary. Tag 6 of your friends, or a killer clown will send you love on Bebo in 2 weeks and all this.
Oh, God, I completely forgot about them. You see them pop up and it's like, you know, the Obi-Wan Kenobi moment of, now there's a name I've not heard in years. Panini the Clown or something.
Oh yes, Panini the Clown.
I couldn't remember, you know, the joke, the famous clown.
That's what I was trying to think of, yeah. Oh, Panini the Clown goes to the doctor.
And he said, Doctor, do you want half of my meatball Mariana? This is why I run the cafe as a red panda. But yeah, there was so much of that. I remember you could customise your profile and things.
This baffles me to this day because Bebo, and then especially MySpace, was so customisable that you could go in and you could change the CSS. That's actually a lot of how I learned to early programming, was through learning HTML and CSS through, well, maybe not learning it, but having the confidence to do it was kind of what's put me off on the track of programming. That was so crazy that you were allowed to edit websites just on the fly like that and customise things and make these themes and upload them, and the internet was way less standard, and it's something I see a lot of people talk about in video games nowadays, but everything was so, I don't know what the opposite of minimalist would be, maximalist. But everything was so over the top and nobody had a clue what they were doing, so everything was just bright and gaudy and everywhere, and it was a very different looking time on the internet.
Do you know what it reminds me of? You know that episode of The Simpsons, and obviously we can't have an episode without a Simpsons reference, but do you remember that episode where it was Homer that makes his website, but it doesn't really do anything? It's just got things like the dancing Jesus gif and just all the gifs horribly all over the place.
And that's what 90% of the internet was.
People will look at us and be like, no, surely not. Surely they had, you know, better taste. It's like, no, guys. It's 100% that. There wasn't anything better. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, guys. Do you know what I saw the other day? And this actually threw me back to the Bebo days. It was, you know, well, Robot Chicken, that's been going on for years now. But you know, in particular, and it's kind of very appropriate considering the way that your cutout is dressed here, but it was a parody for Mario, I think, but it's like Mario and GTA.
Oh, yes.
But do you remember you could have videos on your profile?
Yep.
And it was like, oh, look, it's Mario and GTA and Mario and Resident Evil for some reason. They loved putting Mario into these horrible situations. But
Mario being in horrible things is always like one of those even to this day, you still see ones and it's like, oh, what would happen if Mario, if mushrooms were actually drugs? It's like, yeah, that joke's been going a while.
Yeah, it's been going on since the dawn of time. It's like, oh, where does Sonic store his rings? Oh, Pac-Man's eating pills. Oh.
So this has kind of led me to a wee bit of a brain thing here. So in the context of these videos, the very first video I ever watched on YouTube was a Final Fantasy VII, I want to say Advent Children, I can't remember the name of the movie, but like an abridged joke version. I have no idea what it was actually called, but I always remember because I was at a karate class when I was a bit younger, and this guy was saying to me, he's like, oh, have you ever heard of this website called YouTube? And it stuck to my head because I'd never heard of it. But that was the very first video I'd ever watched on YouTube. It was a Final Fantasy VII Advent Children abridged. We're going to have to go find it. There's like children in high school now younger than YouTube, just to put some more context on this.
My jaw dropped there.
Can you remember your sort of first YouTube? I'm going to guess what your first YouTube video was. Your first YouTube video was...
No!
Vegeta versus Broly, Linkin Park, Faint AMV.
You know, I would not be surprised. See if it was like, let the bodies hit the floor.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you remember there was a period for ages where YouTube started cracking down? It was like the first foray into copyright stuff.
Okay.
So it was like they had to mute copyrighted content. What they did instead was, and for anyone who's listening to the tomes right now, please grab a drink, it's going to be a while. But remember there was that where they were saying, okay, you can't use this song. You can't use Linkin Park's Numb. You can't use Wake Me Up Inside or Bring Me to Life. You can't use any of these. But you can use this royalty-free music. And one of them was the Let the Bodies Hit the Floor. Let the bodies hit the floor. You know, it was just like, what the hell? But that song is now ingrained in my mind. Do you think whoever made that song, do you think they get royalties now, or do you think they're just like, nah, I sold my soul long ago just to get rid of that?
I think, well, the band's called Drowning Pool and they are on Spotify, so I hope they get something out of it. I'm sure someone I know's seen them live. It's one of those ones, it's a shame to see a one-hit wonder band live because everyone's like, oh, the other stuff's good, and you all kind of like stand around and politely applaud, but you're waiting for the bodies to hit the floor. That's what you're there for. Yeah, that song has become ingrained in culture forever thanks to that one decision by YouTube to ban everything else.
I just want to draw attention to, you know, the rest of the cafe here. One of our members here, Life on Mars, is saying those are some very emo song choices. You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Just what it was.
It was a different time. Do you remember AMVs were the thing back then? They were the, I don't want to swear, they were the business. You know, I don't know why I said it like that. I apologize.
No, I don't know what that gimmick was supposed to be. They were the bee's knees.
The knees of the bees, yes. God, I'm old.
They were the sore knees of...
Rather than the wasp's ankles, they were the bee's knees. But they were everywhere. What I'm saying is you don't get a good AMV anymore.
So Linkin Park brought a bunch of new songs out last year, and that was how people tested if they were good songs or not, is they just made AMVs with them, which I thought was such a great bit. So the new, what's the name of the newest Dragon Ball Z game again? It's like Burst Force or something?
Oh, Sparking Zero.
Sparking Zero, that was so wrong. I knew it was 2 words.
Close enough, yeah.
You got it. But it was the intro to that. People were putting the new Linkin Park songs over it. Like, is this a good Linkin Park song? Yes. It works with the intro to a Dragon Ball Z game. It's 10 out of 10.
Did you ever see... I can't believe I'm laughing at this, but did you ever see the one where it was a guy who went to the Linkin Park concert and he had his phone up, and I think it was when they were playing them or whatever, and it was like the Dragon Ball AMV.
That was such a good bit.
It's just like, imagine paying all that money for it, and you know what? I genuinely, I would not be mad. I would be watching that AMV being like, hell yeah.
So I've got a concert story, kind of similar, not similar, but on the same vein as that. So one of my favourite bands of all time is a band called the Gaslight Anthem, and they play, I call it New Jersey rock, and really good band, love them to bits, seen them hundreds of times live, and I'll see them hundreds of times more. And at one of their gigs, sold out in Edinburgh. Gets like the last couple of songs, they go off for their encore and come back on, and me and my wife are standing quite far back, but 2 people ahead of us. A guy phones his friend on video call, right, and holds him up, so he's obviously looking out of the main phone camera, right? But what's happened obviously is, so he's watching the thing for this guy's phone, but we're just seeing him in his living room just sitting there because it's on the guy's main screen. What he does, obviously just completely unaware that we're all watching him, but your eyes are glued to this because like, why would it? But he just goes and makes a cup of tea and is like sitting having a cup of tea and a biscuit watching this band, and I was like, this is the coolest thing ever, that this guy's experiencing the same live show I am, and I'm watching him have a cup of tea.
That's what you really pay for, isn't it?
And I was like, you know what I mean? Like, I was angry at myself because I was like, I could be looking at anything else, but my eye keeps getting drawn to, oh, he's putting one sugar in that. Oh, nice, yeah. Oh, that's quite a good colour, that tea. And I'm like, why am I doing this? Watch the band.
I hate it. Well, not hate, but it's always like a funny memory, I suppose. See, when you see people in a concert, you're just like, what actually are you doing? I remember my partner and I, we went to, and again, this isn't as rock and roll, but we went to, it was like we got tickets for this Les Mis thing.
Oh, yeah, cool.
But what I didn't realise was, and again, I just want to preface, we are not old enough to have been like in the same school as Alfie Bowen. or anything. But I didn't realise that they were actually singing that day. And I was like, oh, cool. That looks like Alfie Bow. But other than the fact that, he's singing along and he's a good singer, but he definitely loves himself when he's singing. He was lingering. And there were these older women in the front, let's just say. And every time he finished a song, they were up clapping.
Yes, love that.
I genuinely think if they got the opportunity, they would have started a mosh pit. Lay mosh pit, if you will. Oh. Do you hear the people sing? No, but I see those old grannies making a hip. There was people I remember behind us that were singing.
Oh no, that's...
See, now this is the etiquette. See, if you're at a concert like you were, you're encouraged to sing. I mean, I've been to, I'm trying to think of the last one. It might have actually been Ed Sheeran of all people.
Oh, amazing.
No, Travis. Sorry, Travis was the last one. But Ed Sheeran was great as well.
Because I'd love to see Ed Sheeran.
Oh, he's such a good act, honestly. That was actually the same time that the trains were off. I don't know if I told you that at the time.
Oh, you did tell me this,
Yeah, for anyone who doesn't know, there was a massive train strike in, I think, the whole of the UK, wasn't it? It wasn't just Scotland. So no one could get a train home. And there was just this mass exodus after of just people walking for the train. Oh, it was absolutely insane. But again, there's that etiquette of, if you're going to a show like that, it's very lively and whatnot, that's fine. I'm sorry, but I don't want to hear you sing. Do you hear the people sing right in my ear? I mean, I had enough of that in high school. I don't need it. That's always the tune I go to. See if a piano comes up and it's like, do you play? And I'm like, oh, do I play? Of course, do I play? And it's literally just dun, 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 dun.
I know the notes.
I know the notes. I don't know the chords. Don't be greedy. But what are your thoughts on that, though? People singing at concerts and things.
It's concerts. Knock yourself out. That's what you're there for. Have some fun. Bit of a riot. Theatre shows very much less so. I've paid probably more than a concert to hear specifically those people. But I want to say my least favourite. I don't know if it's my least favourite or my most favourite. I can't really decide. I had one of the worst experiences in the cinema of all time to go see Les Mis when that came out.
Oh no, where are you going with this?
No, nothing too bad, but two really annoying things happened at the same time. So firstly, the guy sitting next to me was like tapping his foot along to it, which is fine at first, but Les Mis has no musical breaks. So this guy was tapping his foot for 3 hours. And it was in one of the smaller cinemas, so it wasn't even, it was like big chairs where I wouldn't notice. The whole row was rocking every time this guy tapped his foot. Like I said, very small cinema. And at the same time, next door, The Dark Knight was showing, or The Dark Knight Rises, I think it would have been.
I think you've told me this.
Yeah, one of the Batman songs are showing next door. And so it gets to the bit where all his friends get killed in the start of the revolution, and it's like the Empty Chairs song, and it's like really sad, and it's just his voice. But you can hear the chase scene from Batman reverbing through the walls. This guy's tapping his foot for 2 hours. And at this point, we've still got another hour of the filming to go. He's singing his sad song. Now you can hear in the background is the Batman. And I was like, what is this film? Why have I paid so much money to see this in a cinema?
I don't know if I want to see Christian Bale. It's like Batman and Les Mis.
At that point, honestly, I was waiting for it. I was waiting for him to pop through the screen. I saw it twice in the cinema. I actually enjoyed it much more the second time. I can't believe I saw that film twice. But anyway.
Why?
I don't know. I must have been trying to impress someone.
I was going to say, it's like the first time you're like, I wonder if Batman will show up. Tell me what the people are singing.
It was before all the cinematic universe stuff, so like I wasn't that ready for it yet.
Oh, of course. I'm trying to think of the last terrible cinema experience that I've had.
Probably when you went to go see War of the Rohirrim and I wouldn't shut up next to you. Every time something cool happens, I was like, on my feet, yeah!
I mean, to be fair, that is a hell yeah movie. That was... And again, I cackle. See, every time I listen back to our episode and I tell it to people where there was a guy literally a few seats along... There was a scene where one of the characters, this is Lord of the Rings, okay, it's Lord of the Rings, it's usually very stoic, it's very, serious. And it was like when the guy in freezing cold temperatures takes off his shirt and starts pummeling people at each miss.
I love it.
And it's like Mother Nature that takes him down in the end. And the guy got up and left. Sorry, was it that bit? Or was it when they fought the troll?
It was when he fought the troll and he just stood up and walked out and just didn't come back. I love that was his breaking point because there was so much more nonsense to come as well. he didn't know what he walked out on.
It's so good though. The other one I remember going to see Sonic 3, and would you believe it was empty? It was all families, but it was empty. And it was just me and my partner because, you know, me going by myself, that would look a bit strange. But it was us, a couple of families in front of us, and maybe one or two families behind us. But it was empty. I was like, this is a new film, you know. It's not Sonic fans.
When I went to go see Brave, the Pixar movie, I went with my wife and we were like the last two on the screen and we got separated. So it's like I would have rolled with like a family of 6. They're all going like doing little kid stuff and just throwing popcorn and arguing. And I'm just sitting at the end of the row like trying to watch the most serious man on the planet.
You're like, shh. This is a serious film. This is cultural heritage.
I don't know who the bear's going to be.
Who's that? I missed the bear.
And I think I'm not much of a family man. I'm not great with kids. I was like my worst nightmare. My wife's like, she's having a great time down a few rows further down with like a really nice family. And they sort of, she became part of their family. Well, I was just a weird outcast on the end of the aisle.
You're not my real mom.
Shut up, Mom.
It's a weird thing because it's either going to be kids or teenagers that cause the main ruckus, isn't it? Don't get me wrong. I remember years ago I went with a friend to see, I can't remember, it was a terrible film anyway, but we went to see this film and this couple sat, literally it was empty. Like it was empty, it was the middle of the day. This couple sat a couple of seats beside us in the back row. So I was like, okay, bit weird, but okay. Then they brought a carrier bag out and I'm like, okay, you know, maybe they brought a couple of snacks. When I say they brought out a packet of digestive biscuits and like, you know, one of those big packs of the cans you get, the 8-pack or the 12-pack or whatever, it was a chunky bag. So all you would hear in the silence and the darkness was psst, psst. It's like, why? Why would you do this to me? This is ridiculous.
I love coming up and sitting next to you just to assert dominance as well.
Oh, God. I mean, sometimes it's quite funny because, as I was saying, with the Sonic one, the only funny thing that happened was at the very beginning of the film, they pan around and they show Shadow and Stasis and everything. And this kid, as soon as Shadow popped up, the kid turned around and went, "That's Shadow!" It's like, it was so funny. When I went to see Sonic 2, though, there was a wee boy that he got up, and in one of the scenes, Jim Carrey does the flossing dance, and this wee boy got up and started flossing. You should have seen his mum. His mum was mortified. His mum was like, sit down right now. It's like, it was so funny. But alternatively, and I've said this on the podcast before and on stream, but I remember when I went to see I think it was the Muppets film, and there were these kids who were clearly bored and they were running all around the cinema. They just didn't care. And then all of a sudden, halfway through the film, all I hear is this heavy breathing behind me. What the kids were doing, again, it was empty, but what the kids were doing was they were just sitting behind and they were just resting their heads on the back of seats. It was the weirdest thing. It was like, why?
Why me?
I mean, I've had, you know, the usual teens who are like, oh, this is a terrible film, and you're like, please, Usher, it's got them out. Have you ever had that before, though, where someone has had to genuinely be like, no, get out?
I don't think so. I'm just trying to think now. I typically get quite lucky, I think, with cinema stuff. I've never really had... No, I think I typically get very lucky with this stuff.
That's actually sparked a memory there. Well, actually, too. I remember once when I was younger, I was away to see, I think it was Shrek, of all things. And just as the movie was about to start, they literally stopped the film and they're like, oh, sorry, ladies and gentlemen, we've put in the wrong film. It's The Mummy 2 or something. That's how long ago it was. It's like The Mummy 2. You're going to have to go to the other screen to watch the film. And I was like, oh, okay, fair enough. Well, I was a kid, you know. I was exactly going to go, this is outrageous. But I remember in the news around the same time, there was like a cinema, and this is horrific, funny, but horrific, where they were supposed to be showing that Zathura film, the space Jumanji one, and instead they put on The Hills Have Eyes. But they didn't warn them. They didn't realise it was on. And that film has some very brutal things in it. So, yeah, of course, loads of traumatised kids, angry parents. There was one time the cinema was nearly burned down. Did I tell you that one for The Hobbit?
No. What?
This is just a Satsunami cinema.
I guess this is just the low dump of Satsunami. What's this one?
So I went to see The Hobbit with one of my friends, and I think it was around, I think I was in university, like towards the end of uni, and I came back home to visit, and it's like, oh, do you want to go see The Hobbit? And I was like, yeah, well, why not? I wasn't really interested, but I thought, I'll go out for the night, and it was quite a late showing, and as you know, it's a very, very long film. So we got to the scene where, Thorin and Cody climb up the tree, and they're being chased by the orcs, the CGI ones, and like, all of a sudden, as they lit the fire, I kid you not, this actually happened. Pandalorians, it actually happened. Where the whole screen just cut out, and then they went, sorry, ladies and gentlemen, there's a fire outside. Please leave. The exit, and I was like, oh, okay. So we had to, it's the only time I've ever been down the fire escape in that particular cinema. And then we're waiting to get back inside for the film. And then we were like, should we even bother? See, to this day, genuinely, I have never watched The Hobbit all the way through. I watched the scene online and everything, but I've never watched it all the way through because my partner and I, we did a watch through of all the Lord of the Rings films. Then we did I think The Hobbit after it or before it. In fact, no, sorry, it was The Hobbit before then, it was Lord of the Rings. But anyway, we watched them and I fell asleep at the end of The Hobbit. So I've never really watched it from start to finish. That is my confession of the night. That is my sin.
Your cinema sin.
But that's just a sin. A cinema sin.
So close.
Thanks for watching. The cinema's a weird one. Because would you say, and I'm not saying because obviously you're busy with wrestling, you're busy with content creation, and obviously your job and real life responsibilities, but do you feel as if you go to the cinema less nowadays?
Oh yeah, 100%. I was very lucky during university. I lived next to the cinema and ended up with one of those unlimited passes for Cineworld. It was brilliant, man. You could go multiple times a week. I got used to going on my own as well. You would just go to the cinema yourself. I really enjoyed that. Back then I enjoyed the whole process of going out, the whole event. I enjoyed the event, and now I'm kind of the opposite. I can't be bothered going to the cinema a lot of time. I'll do it for the odd big film, but I think especially post Avengers, I'm not that bothered by any of the big films in the cinemas now. Obviously apart from Lord of the Rings, Lord of the Rings, but I think, I'll go see the new Godzilla film. I'll go see if there's a really funny film that catches my eye. I'm not a big cinema goer. I'm not a big movie guy now. A lot of that's down to Netflix, and my TV's good now. I know it sounds kind of stupid, but the gap between seeing something in HD, compared to having like a CRT monitor, or like when I first moved out, we had like the early HD TVs, but now my setup at home's so good that I'm kind of like, I don't really want to go to the cinema to have a worse experience than sitting in my house. Like I said, I'll do it for like really big movies, but yeah, I feel like I go to cinema less and less now. And the thing is, I always enjoy it when I go, so I'm not like I'm poo-pooing the cinema. Like I love going to cinema. It's just like I'm only going to go for a special occasion now. Is that kind of how you feel? Are you kind of different from that?
No, I'm very much in a similar boat. It's weird because I feel as if there's not really much that I'm looking forward to in the cinema anymore. And I know that sounds very old man-esque to be like, there's no good films anymore. And yeah, I'll give you a funny story because I feel, well, not bad, but one of the Podpack collective members that we have in the group, Marie, who is also in the cafe with us, sitting over there, of course, was saying how every time we look at the group chat, she'll say, oh, I'm going to the cinema today. Oh, I'm going to the cinema tonight. And it's like, how many times? Because, she's a co-host of the We Needed Roads podcast as well. So it's kind of part of the job, as it were. But it's like, I don't know, unless I have to. Like when we went to see War of the Rohirrim, that was a business expense. So,
tax write-off.
Even Marie there is talking about that film Flow that's coming out in the UK.
Oh yeah, that won the awards, didn't it? The Oscar.
I mean, I heard about the awards, but again, it's one of those films that's like, all I know is it's about a cat and it's got awards. Like, other than that, not a clue. But I've heard great things about it. I'll need to check it out because that is actually, speaking of podcast and animation, of course, that is something we are going to be talking about, next month. Sorry, no, 2 months. God damn. In May, we're going to be talking about the wonderful world of animation. Literally, animation. Do you know, I'm kicking myself because I can't remember who told me that pun.
It was me.
Yeah, I can't take credit for it. I'm like, who is it?
It was me. No, it was genuinely me. Yes.
No, it's because somebody else left a comment with the exact same joke.
Oh, really? I did it in a messenger chat.
Yeah, I remember that.
I was there first.
But I honestly cannot wait for that because, I mean, we're going to be talking about, well, you and I, we're going to be talking about Wallace and Gromit. We're going to be talking about Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, ironically enough. Yeah, another film about cats. What else are we going to... I think Andrew and I, we are going to be talking about Detective Pikachu's one of them. I know that. We're still deciding on the anime film. And then for the final film, honestly, I'm not too sure because initially I was going to do a trivia quiz. And then you were like, no, do a Frozen episode, you coward.
Yes. Yep, finally get to do an episode on Frozen. Oh, Moana. I really love Moana.
Really?
Honestly, you don't need to come to the studio. I will do it myself. I will record for 2 hours on Moana. You still have to edit it, though. Like, I'm not editing, but I love Moana so much that I would happily talk about it uninterrupted. I would monologue about Moana for 2 hours.
But I mean, is this because you like the film or is it because you just like The Rock?
Both.
Ooh.
I love this film. It's also, the music's the same guy that did, not all the songs I don't think, but at least one of the songs is the same guy that did Hamilton, Lin-Manuel Miranda. And then Jermaine Clement from Flight of the Conchords is in it. So let the people speak. But all I'm saying is, if they don't say Moana, they're wrong. Let the people speak and let them say Moana.
I genuinely don't think we have a Disney film for Animation Month, which...
That's a bit of a hole.
It is a bit of a crime, yeah. Because, I mean, we've got stop motion with Wallace and Gromit. We've got the CGI real-life blend. I mean, let's face it, it was either Detective Pikachu or Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I'm going to be honest, after the Super Mario Brothers film, I've had enough of Bob Hoskins.
Oh.
Well, okay, yeah, for legal reasons, that's a joke. Where's my red panda lawyer? He's not under the table.
He's got some time off.
We've got anime, of course. We're still kind of deciding which film to do for that. This is a cheeky sneak peek for all the Pandalorians out there. Because I don't know, initially I was like, yeah, let's do a Studio Ghibli film. But we've done about, I want to say 2 of them. 2,
I watched
3.
both Call Me By Your Name, or is it just Your Name it's called? I watched that, and I watched Suzume back to back on Netflix, and they were both very good.
Is that the one where the guy turns into a chair?
Yes.
Yeah, that really put me off, I'm not going to lie.
No, it's phenomenal.
Genuinely, I was with the whole thing until in the trailer he turned into a chair and I'm like, right, I'm out.
Honestly, only makes the film better.
Really?
Enough of this.
Chair slander.
Yeah, enough of this protagonist has to be not being turned into a chair. Honestly, after it, all films should be should feature a man turned into a chair as part of the plot.
4 legs made of wood.
Exactly.
Hollywood, get on it. Yeah, that was actually one of the ones that we thought of doing.
I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, because I know Andrew, he absolutely loves Your Name. And by Your Name, I mean the film, not Your Name.
He also loves the name Martin MacAlistair, but I get that.
Yeah,
I love it too.
If he wasn't called Andrew, he'd be called Martin MacAlistair.
I hear that a lot, to me. When I was in Tokyo, there's a famous scene at the end of Your Name, and it's a staircase. When I was in Tokyo, I was actually pretty close to that staircase. I was like, I should maybe go visit it, but it's like, it was just kind of out the way of, if we'd been there for like another couple of days, I probably would have gone, but it was just a bit out of the way just to go to a random staircase, you know what I mean? Because it's not like it's a exhibit for a film, it's just a still from the movie, you know what I mean? So I didn't go in the end, but I keep seeing people on Twitter and on Instagram and stuff having gone. I'm like, oh, well, that's another trip back to Japan for that.
What I love is, and maybe it's a cultural thing, but what I love is there's 2 staircases I can think of. Well, technically 3 if you include the rocky staircases, but people still treat that with respect. But you've got 2 staircases. You've got the one from Joker.
Yes.
And you've got the one from Your Name. Every time I see the Your Name one, you know it's all very cutesy. Oh, Lego. Then you get... Then you get to the Joker one that's like, dude, what the hell? Get off my stairs. I need to take the trash out. What the hell? You know, you get so many different ones. I don't know, it's weird. But then again, I've never had enough time to compile cinematic staircases.
Oh, what a series that should be.
Chatsu Staircases. Weirdly enough, it would probably be the series that would launch this podcast into the mainstream, the limelight.
I'm trying to think of other
staircases.
Not so much specifically staircases, but well, that is funny. No, what I was thinking of is when you talk about like people get like, oh, get out of the way. Like how you have the the pizza on the roof house from Breaking Bad, and they put up like a whole bunch of fences and said, please stop coming to our house and throwing pizza on the roof. We're getting rats, we're getting all sorts of problems because people, once a week someone comes up and throws an entire cheese pizza on our roof.
I mean, the Ninja Turtles are bad enough, you know.
No, I'm laughing. I do genuinely feel distraught for them because it must be awful, but at the same time, very funny where it's not you. Imagine if that was me, I'd be absolutely up and it would be the worst thing ever to happen to me. I think there's always that element to it of if that's you getting affected by it, it must be very, very annoying. One thing I'll say for the staircase in Your Name, but Tokyo obviously is just full of, it's a bit like I assume like, you know, people that come to London and stuff that haven't been before, and it's like there's so many scenes from movies just all over the place that you kind of don't stop to kind of look at them after a while. You just, oh yeah, that's where that thing was, and that's where that, you know what I mean? So Tokyo's very similar to that, where it's just like, it's just iconic movie scenes everywhere. New York as well, when we went there, and it was like, oh yeah, that's that building, no, that was inspired one, that was inspired one, that was inspired, you know, and as opposed to when it's one in a big area, you're like, oh, that's so specifically that thing. When I went to Dubrovnik, they were very excited about Game of Thrones having been filmed there, which I thought was really funny because obviously it's like the split cast for Game of Thrones, so some of them had to go to really cold bits of Scotland and Ireland and even further north, like Greenland and stuff, and then a bunch of them just got shipped out to Croatia for like 6 months. Brilliant. I know which team I want to be part of.
I was going to say, is that not what they used to do in the X Factor? Do you not remember that, where it was like and I'm talking years ago. No, where it was like when the particular acts would get through in X Factor and they would split them off into their different categories. So you get like men, women, groups. That was the other one, yeah. And it would be like the different judges, and it would be like, oh, Simon Cowell, oh, he's got his mansion in LA, oh, it's whoever else, oh, they've got their mansion in wherever, and then it's
Louis Walsh.
Louis Walsh, just his place in Ireland is like get a Ryanair or something over. Make it a day trip.
You better just stay at home, mate.
This could have been a Zoom. I know that didn't exist back then, but this could have been an email, Louis. Come on. Yeah, the amount of places though, that are like, please come in. This thing was filmed. Because I have to say, you do notice, and I notice, maybe not so much for films, but definitely for tourism, when my partner and I went over to China years and years. Again, this was pre-COVID. And I remember we went all over the place, and a lot of places that I wouldn't have, normally have gone to. But then by the time we got to Shanghai, it was rife with tourists. The irony there, me saying that.
Look at all these tourists.
But I kid you not, I'd spent most of the time there as basically the only tourist within like 100-mile radius. Yeah. I genuinely counted, I think, 4 maybe tourists on or not tourists, but either foreigners who lived there or were just passing through. But then as soon as I got to Shanghai, the first thing I see was this big Englishman, bald head, big beer belly, going, oh, this is a lovely city. I was like, oh no, I'm back in Tourist City. Because I remember we talked about that, of course, in our episode ages ago, which technically, would you believe, is episode 0 of Satsunami. Because technically it's about travel and food, but we talked mainly about travel, didn't we? And that was a good episode, but it always makes me laugh. I have to say.
You would have obviously felt it there, but even I think when you go on holidays and people that, like yourself, try to learn the language a bit, obviously you don't, but you feel like you fit in a bit more and you're like, oh yeah, I'm doing tourism right. And then you see other people like, no, you're doing tourism wrong. And it's like, and they're probably thinking the exact same thing about me.
I mean, I thought I was doing good, and then all of a sudden the doors flung open. Like, my partner and I were having dumplings somewhere, and all of a sudden the doors flew open, and there was a bunch of these tourists just speaking completely perfect Mandarin, like fluently. And I was like, I like dumplings. They were like, oh, it's so tasty. Oh, you're the best. You're the king of dumpling, blah, blah, blah. They actually didn't say that for legal reasons. That's a joke, but...
Oh, I was going to say, like, who's the king of dumpling?
I don't know, but I would like to meet that person. Anyone in the cafe with us, if you would like. You'd like to find the dumpling king. Is that going to be your new D&D session?
Oh, hunt for the dumpling king.
Dumpling king. I don't know much classical music, I'm sorry.
Like all classics, that's like you might just, they have to get invented somewhere, so maybe that was the start of you writing the classic.
Nobody's going to be watching this in 100 years going, who was this dumpling king? I like to think the Dumpling King looks a wee bit like, the onion out of Overcooked.
Yes.
But just a dumpling with a crown on and a wee cape.
Yep, love that.
Just runs around. I was going to say, I think the artist the one who drew you in this episode, I think he's going to kill me to be
my
like...
mum?
Yeah. didn't mean the artist of life. I mean
Sorry. Yeah, I see the confusion now.
I was going to say, it was very prophetic that she drew you with overalls and a Mario cap. Oh, God. Actually, speaking of Mario, we should probably mention that before we
you should probably plug the whole reason we're doing this.
I can't believe, as of doing this episode, and you'll probably be watching this while Mario Month is out, yeah, we have been doing, just an absolutely fantastic month of Mario content. The month before, in February there, we were doing Avatar: The Last Airbender with Andrew, which was absolutely fantastic. And then I thought, you know what? Enough of these philosophical ideas. Enough of this thinking. It's time to get silly with it. And then we ended up, and that was a bot. Anyway, yeah, of course, we decided to do Mario Month because Mario is 40 years old, isn't he?
Yep, a bit older than us.
I mean, as a concept, by the way, not as a man.
How old is Mario?
I don't know. Anybody with us here, how old is Mario?
Like, as a guy?
Is this going to be like a thing where it's like, he's been 20 all along?
Yeah, I was going to say, like, it's because he hasn't really aged since the first game I feel like we must discuss this at some point during the 4 episodes about how old Mario actually is. But yeah, he's somewhere between 20 and 80.
He's not a Lego box. You can
between 3 and 99, undoubtedly. It says that on the side of that Lego box for a minute, so he must be aged between there.
Granted, you would have to be 99 years old to pay for the Mario kit. Have you seen that? It's like a tiny, or not tiny, but it's like the Mario Kart, the car from Mario Kart.
Hey, wait a minute.
Yeah, it's like, look at this. And it's like $166 or something. I know our parents must have, rolled their eyes when they bought us Lego and things back in the day, but Jesus Christ, I mean, we have adult money and even we're going, no, that can't be right. Counting your pennies like that can't be right. But yeah, Lego Mario aside there, yeah, it must be. There has to be within that age range. Just what's that meme again? It's like waving, not randomly, but just waving in a general direction. Be like, yeah, it must be. But of course, we talked about Mario Odyssey, fantastic game. We also talked about what it would be like to live in the Mario world. I said it last week, but it's today. We talked about the Super Mario Brothers film. That was great. So I was saying this to you before we started, but I had to pop over to the shops earlier, and usually when I pop over, I'm like, you know what, I'll listen to the new episode of Chatsunami. And as I was listening, I have a bit of a Russian roulette with episodes, because there's some episodes that, they're serious enough that I can listen back and go, that was a good episode, I can do it better. Then there's other episodes that have me howling and cracking up. This was one of them, because if you haven't heard it, definitely go check it out at chatsunami.com. But yeah, it was us talking about being Chris Pratt impersonators. I just absolutely lost it. I was absolutely howling. So funny. So terrible, but so funny. I've always been curious about this, but see, when you listen back to certain episodes of Chatsunami, have you ever had that where you're just doing your shopping or in the gym or whatever, and then you just burst into laughter?
I can't listen to a lot of them in public. You'll know this far more than many people on this, but I laugh quite loud.
No.
Yeah. Shocking confession here. And I know you know, because you spend most of your time editing episodes with me in it, trying to avoid mic crackle and normalize the volume of that stuff. So I have to avoid as much as possible that kind of thing in case people get a fright in the street and just turn around. If I just burst out laughing, that's blocks of the city hating me. So
it's like a call to action.
Yeah, so
the beacons are lit.
So it's the horn that Gimli blows when it's
the laugh of Helm Hammer.
So can't listen to a lot of them in public for that reason.
So, bit of a confession here, right? My editing process is usually that, I'll throw the audio into Audacity, right? That's fine. Throw it into Audacity, think, right, okay, gonna bring it up with the compressor. And, usually the compressor brings it up to a kind of happy medium of all the audio waves. That kind of uplifts it if they're all really low and whatnot. I'll add can't even remember, not the equalizer, but there's another thing to boost the bass of the voices to make it nice and bassy. But for yours, I'll be quiet, and then just a vertical line just going up, and it's like, blah blah blah, vertical line again. And it's like, what I have to do is now I go in and I have to clip fix them, so I have to bring them down so that when I bring the compressor up, because see, if I put in the compressor, it won't raise the high highest, peak of your mic or of your audio wave. So I have to lower your laugh.
Hurtful.
You said that so disappointed.
Yeah, honestly, you should make it louder. Teach him a lesson.
I think you could do.
Imagine just the headphone mode and you'd have to put on every single episode. It's like really quiet and then just my laugh. It's like Bart with all the megaphones tied together.
Testing. Actually, speaking of a very loud laugh and announcement, I've just noticed that we have another patron coming into the Chatsu Café, a robotic battle toaster who is bringing 16 of his friends. Welcome in. Grab yourself a snack, a beverage, some nostalgia over there. Yeah, probably about over there. Just buy the cakes. We've got moo burgers, flying buns, pod pad pancakes, and the Satsu special, which I still haven't worked out what the Satsu special is. That's what's so special about it.
Oh, I see. It's Satsu surprise. It's just kind of whatever's left in the cupboard.
There's always that one thing, isn't there, in the cupboard.
What was your kind of highlight of doing the Mario month stuff? Because I had a lot of fun and stuff with it, but I'd like to know, seeing as you've listened to it all back, what was kind of like your favourite stuff for the Mario month?
I honestly thought you were going to say, what's my favourite thing in my cupboard?
See if you look at your cupboard, right? Go down and I'll fill some time. See if you just leave the podcast, go look in your cupboard and just tell me what's in there.
Hold on, I'll be back. No, I'm only kidding.
This is what this podcast has turned into. Read out the contents of your cupboard to me right now.
This is my shame. I went into my cupboard the other day thinking, I'm going to make myself a hot chocolate. It was out of date.
Did you still do it though? How out of date was it? Like, what's your cut-off here on hot chocolate?
For the record, Your Honour, it wasn't years,
Okay.
I'll say that. Maybe a good couple of months, I'm not going to lie. I'm not proud of the man I've become, Martin. I'm not going to lie.
I feel bad now.
Sorry, going back to Mario month, before I incriminate myself further with my hot chocolate escapades, honestly, all of it is hilarious. And I'm not just saying that. I genuinely think that the more we do this podcast, the better it gets and the funnier it gets. Because I listened to the Mario Odyssey one, the Mario Odyssey episode. What I loved about it was just the fact that we got to wax lyrical about how great a game that was, so that was fun. That was really nice. It was quite sweet. And then we had, as I was saying, I was absolutely cackling at half the stuff. Genuinely, I was picking up snacks and things in the shops, and then all of a sudden, we're making Chris Pratt jokes. I was in the bank, and it was the bit where we were talking about how Nintendo only have that one image of Chris Pratt.
Oh yeah, the grayscale one.
Yeah, it's like the black and white one. Yeah, it was so funny. But of course, the bank looking at me going, what are you laughing at? And I'm just like, you wouldn't understand.
The thing is about the Odyssey episode, see when we stopped recording, I was sitting there, I was like, I forgot to mention like 20 things. There's so much more things I wanted to talk about with Odyssey. Like, I didn't mention any of the mods that have been made for it, like an online mode for it now that people have modded in and stuff. And I didn't mention any of that. It's a whole other world being opened up with this game. It's incredible.
Honestly, there is so much to talk about in that game. There was hundreds really to talk about for most episodes. I think the one, other than obviously the trivia episode that we talked about the least, I want to say, is probably the film.
Yeah.
Because it's really hard to talk about. And spoilers for the episode, because you can listen on chatsunami.com. But I do remember that. I remember thinking, we can talk about this, we can talk about that. But then you were just kind of sitting there like, it's a you put it very succinctly saying, it's just a sugar film. There's not really much you can say about it.
It's no Minions, that's what I would say. No Minion movie.
What I'm saying is when we're doing Minion Memes 2, the episode.
I'm looking forward to doing animation month, and every film we review, I'm just going to be like, it's no Minions though, is it? Wallace and Gromit? If only they made a film as good as Minions.
Here's a question for you though. See if it was a toss-up between Frozen / Moana versus Minions.
Oh.
Where are you going? What are you choosing?
Choose.
Choose
I'm going to
one.
say, in terms of cultural impact, it has to be Minions. What's up?
No, just say why. Don't change the subject.
Sorry, check, please.
Speaking of feeling old, just very, very briefly, I remember when I was doing the Living in the Mario World episode, and that's coming out next week, so be sure to check that out. And of course, if you're on our Patreon, patreon.com/Satsunami, then you can get it now a week early. But the first thing, I don't even know why we talked about it, but it was, as I said before, we've done Living in the Dragon Ball Z world, Living in the Robotic Battle Toaster, of course, across the table there. He'll tell you we did Living in the Warhammer 40k universe. There was the very infamous Living in the Pokemon world, which kicked it all off. But I didn't expect to start talking about the economy. What I was bent over double laughing so hard when it was like, right, imagine you're living in New Donk City and it's bin day. And you're getting chased by a Tyrannosaurus Rex. It's like, yeah, that's what you want. You want to know the bin schedule in New Donk City.
that's the detail we demand. Yeah.
Was there anything in that episode you were coming away going, yeah, I want to know more?
I think at one point we started arguing about Mayor Pauline and how she got office. And I'm very curious about democratic elections and... You don't sit in it. Like we spoke about employment and then why nobody wears other clothes. Everyone's off the clock during the festival. They're also wearing the same get up. All that stuff. I'm like, there's more going on in New Donk City than they're letting on, and I need to know. And send me the PI, Martin MacAlistair.
Game of New Donk. Where is it, Dubrovnik?
Send me to Dubrovnik via New Donk City.
Aye, someone get Dubrovnik on the phone. I've got a new show for them. Game of New Donk. And again, that would never work.
It'd be too good.
That's true. But speaking of too good, honestly, Mario Month has been absolutely fantastic. And seeing all seriousness, I am genuinely looking forward to this year in particular of content because, as I said, we've done Avatar Month, we are doing Mario Month. In a couple of months, we'll be doing Animation Month with, of course, yourself and Andrew. And then a couple of months later, we are going to be doing Bioshock Month, which I cannot wait for. We've got some amazing people. Robotic Battle Toaster, he's of course going to be involved. So is Dan from Casting Views, Luke from Howdy Beans podcast, and Alex as well from Game Club Pod. You know, it's going to be great. And then we have Resident Evil Month. I take it you're not a fan of.
No, I've played a few of them. It's been a while. Like Resident Evil is one of those ones that I am like, yes, those are games. You know what I mean? Like I've never had like a strong feeling for them either way. I'm more of like it's that I like to grind out RPG games. Yeah. That's kind of my shtick.
Because that's the thing, when I was playing them, the only reason I wanted to do a month was because I played the remake of 4, I want to say. Yeah, it was a remake of 4. And I was like, it'd be cool to go back and do them, and then I could do a whole month. It was terrifying, I'm not going to lie. But I don't know what was more terrifying, that or... And I don't know if you've had this as well.
Can I cut you off? Well, I tell you what was more terrifying than anything else. The order you played them in.
Oh, yeah, I was wondering when this was going to come up.
Tell the people what order you played the games in. And I don't want to hear a story. I want to hear tell the order and then we can go into the story.
Okay, so the order I'm
not laughing. I'm not laughing. Get confessing.
Where's my neck Pandalorian? Where are you? Are you here? Are you under the table? The remake of 4 started off with that. Remake of 2.
Mm-hmm. So 4, 2.
Remake of 3.
4, 2, 3.
Then 7 and 8. 5 and 6. Yeah, the reason for
that. So we can't
that...
say it in one sentence. 4, 7, 8, 5, 6, 3?
No, 4, 2,
4, 2, 3, 7, 8, 5,
8.
6. Code Veronica. Somewhere in there as well.
And, sorry, if you listen across the tables there's another patron in the Chatsu Café here yelling that Resident Evil sucks. Resident Evil 6 sucks. That's it. Thank you, Suspended Doll. Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, it does indeed suck. I'm not going to lie. The thing is, I genuinely, and this is spoilers for obviously Resident Evil Month, but I genuinely think that Resident Evil 4 is like the Terminator 2 of Resident Evil. Now, what I mean by this, and you'll probably know what that is, but Terminator 2 was one of these films, absolutely iconic, absolutely loved by everybody. Everybody loved it. But all the other films after it, they all wanted to be the next Terminator 2. So they ramped up the silliness, they ramped up the action, and judging by my very loose experience of them, I can totally see that. 2 and 3 seem more horror-based, I would say, but, well, maybe not the 3 remake, that's a whole other discussion, but 5 and 6, I don't know what steroids they were on for those. Did you play 5?
I only played, because I think the story was it was terrible. Like, that was kind of like, as it came out, people were kind of down on it. I played, there was like an intro demo on the 360, I think, and that was one that was like quite heavy on co-op, wasn't it? And it was like the start of it was all in daylight. So yeah, I played that intro demo. It was okay. Again, I've never been a big fan of the franchise, and the game kind of got bad reviews. So I was like, okay, I'm not chasing it up.
I'm nearly finished it. I'm playing it through with someone, and I genuinely think that if I didn't play it with anybody, I would have hated it. I mean, I hated 6. Absolutely. I really did not like 6. I thought it had interesting ideas, but then as soon as, Ada Wong, one of the super spy women, femme fatale, etc., insert your own adjective here, she hatched out of a cocoon or something, and it was like, I don't know where you're going with this, guys. There's another one where one of the characters takes a bioweapon thing to regrow his arm, and he's got a big electric laser arm kind of thing, and he's like, I can't go with you to the surface, I'm a monster, and all of this rubbish, and you're like, you guys have lost the plot, haven't you? And it's a long game. Our mutual friend Adam, of course, actually said that, you're gonna be on this game for ages, and then it's just so long. And I just want to point out that we've got 2 more people from mysterious Mr. V who's come through with 2 of his friends. Thank you very much. Please take a seat, have your coffee or your tea or your hot chocolate that's out of date. It's getting decaf hours. Oh, I love decaf. Anyway, can I justify myself to say why I played Resident Evil in that order?
I'd love to hear you justify yourself.
Right, because I tried justifying myself
You're not
before.
going to incriminate yourself further, but try your best.
Mr. Chatsu, sweet. Right, the reason was because 4 was the first game. It was...
4 was the 4th game.
No. Also, none of it matters. I played it because somebody bought me it. I was like, okay, I'm going to finally play a Resident Evil game. Played the 4 remake, love it, think it's one of the best games ever. And then after I played it, I thought, you know what, I should go back to the relative beginning. I should probably play the first remake. I did play it, I got my butt kicked. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. I played the second one. Actually, I forgot to tell you that I really put off, genuinely, playing the second game because of Mr. X.
Oh, yeah.
The big trench coat guy. Genuinely, he gave me the fear because my only memory of Mr. X was being in a group call with our mutual friend Adam. And I remember we were in a group call and we were all playing different games and he was playing Resident Evil 2, the remake. Sporadically, I'd be playing Sonic or something like, I gotta go fast. And then I'd hear this blood-curdling scream, and I'm like, Adam, you okay? And he's like, I just nearly got caught by Mr. X. I'm like, who the hell is Mr. X? I was like, that kind of legend, that fear. So I put it off for the longest time. And even when I started playing it, I'm like, Mr. X, he's not that bad. I got to the bit before Mr. X, and I put the game down. I was like, I need to build myself up. I really need to build myself up. And as I go on to talk about this, Coma Gamer 65 has brought more friends, so thank you very much and make yourself welcome. It's decaf hours now. Welcome. Rock and roll. So I played that eventually. I completed it. I thought, this is a really great game, except for the boss fight at the end. I hated that, but anyway, that's another thing. Played the third one. The third one just feels more like a DLC to the 2 remake. I thought that was okay. But the thing was, I was about to go on to 5 and 6, right, Your Honour? I was about to go on 5 and 6. Then one of my friends turned around and they was like, you know what? I will play this game with you. I'll play 5 with you. And I'm like, okay. So I thought, okay, while I wait for him, I'll go to 7 and 8 because I think there's no point, starting 6. So I started 7. Again, it took me ages. Genuinely, it took me absolute ages to play 7 because it's frightening and I'm a big wuss. I actually had to play it with a walkthrough at times because it was that scary. It's like, okay, so I know the big balding man, he comes out of this wall here. I'm like, I don't like it. Yelling, welcome to the family, son. And I'm like, oh no, I don't want to visit Louisiana. Anyway, that's the takeaway I got from it. It's like, I really don't want to go to Louisiana. It's like, oh, why? I was like, have you not been to Louisiana?
I was going to say, I've actually been, yeah.
I'm like, don't go to Louisiana.
No,
moldy people.
It was lovely. I had a great time. Very different experience from what you had by the sounds of it. Yeah. I was just like, when you were saying that, I was like, I'm pretty sure I've been to Louisiana. I had a great time. Yeah, no, it's nothing like, if Resident Evil is anything like my trip to Louisiana, it'll be fantastic and like not scary at all.
All we have to do is go to West Virginia and then we'll end up in Silent Hill.
Oh, yeah.
Which, fun fact, the only reason I know that is because I watched the film. Would you believe I actually watched the Silent Hill film for a review that never got made?
Oh.
Yeah, it was one of my friends was like, let's review the Silent Hill film. I'm like, yeah, heck yeah, I can't wait. I watched it, I had the notes, and then he was like, oh, actually, I can't do it anymore. And then he disappeared. I'm like, oh. It was a sad time. So I played 7, and the sequel to 7, of course, is 8.
Of course.
Yeah, I couldn't leave 7 lonely, so I had to play 8, which was Resident Evil Village, or Lady Vampire chases you through I was about to say a hotel, like Hotel Transylvania. Serious talk, I know you haven't played many of them, but have you played Village or seen what Village is like?
I've played the sequence with her in it at friends, but apart from that, I've not played much of it.
It is a very weird game, I have to say.
I can imagine.
And I'm not just saying that as in, oh, it's a weird, Resident Evil game. No, it's lots of fairy tale stuff. You've got werewolves, you've got zombies, you've got fishmen. It's like...
I kind of thought it was me and you actually. We sat and watched one of the directs that it got announced on, and people genuinely didn't know what game it was, because it was like werewolves and vampires, and it was very much looked like an old folklore game, and it wasn't until the end of it they had Benfield pop up and they're like, oh, by the way, it's
Resident Evil. Yeah.
And like, it was kind of left of field, wasn't it? It was like a bit of a, people genuinely didn't think it was going to be a Resident Evil game.
I don't know what they were thinking with it. And again, that's not a bad thing. I liked the ending, and I know that sounds terrible to say. I liked when it ended, but I liked the ending. I thought the ending was very, poignant and whatever, but when I was playing it, it felt completely different from 7, because 7's like this horror game. It's a bit like going from, maybe not as extreme, but it's a bit like going from Outlast to Doom. But it's like going from the Louisiana shack in the middle of the bayou to, oh, we're going to this. See, people keep saying, oh, it's Romania or things, but I genuinely think it's nondescript Eastern European country. I could totally be wrong in that, and I could totally have blanked on it, but it's like, yeah, it's nondescript Eastern European country. And the reason I say that is because I was really confused when everyone was speaking in an American accent. And again, I know why it's easier just to be like, oh, just get anybody in, just voice this extra character. But it just, honestly, it's like, why not set it in America? Or the UK or something. Fun fact though, see that whole Lady Dimitrescu running away from her. And I feel terrible for saying this, but she's not as scary as Mr. X. I think both of them could body me. Just absolutely throw me through a table and be like, yeah. But on the other hand, I'll give you a laugh. I was saying that to my partner the other day, saying, oh, I was playing this Resident Evil game and just describing it. And she was saying, oh, we've got something similar. She's called the 8-foot lady.
That's so good.
Yeah, and then she showed me a picture and I'm like, yeah, that's the same woman. Lady Dimitrescu, 8-foot woman.
I mean, it's all, yeah, no point giving fake names to things.
And down to brass tacks here. Just call her.
Was she named that before she was 8 foot, or like was it preordained?
You're going to be 8 foot one day. I don't know how, but you're going to be 8 foot. That's a self-fulfilling prophecy if I've ever heard one. Yeah, maybe. I'm going to be honest.
You have to ask her after this. It's like, by the way, 8-foot lady, was she always called that? What's the deal?
What I love about that game, though, is just see the fact that when you're watching it, or rather playing it, sorry, not watching it, I'm bad at video games, when you're playing it, and it's like, at the very end, they try to justify why they act the way they are. So, like, the reason she's a vampire, oh, it's because she needs blood to survive. Oh, why are they werewolves? Oh, because they're feral. Oh, you're like, no. That's the thing I kept asking people, and especially fans of Resident Evil. I kept saying, why are there werewolves, blah, 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 and they're like, oh, it's a bioweapon. And it's like, are they just moving the goalposts for what a bioweapon is? When do zombies not become cool anymore? Martin, are zombies not cool anymore?
No, they haven't been for a long time.
What were you going to tell me?
I know, sorry, man. This reminds me of, do you see Jurassic World when that came out? My good friend Chris Pratt. That whole film is about how uncool dinosaurs are, which is like a rad concept for a film, considering dinosaurs are the coolest things ever.
But you mean like what do you call that? The kids at the beginning, where they're like, oh my god, I have to go to a dinosaur bar. I don't know why they're in that cage, but...
But like, when they introduces it, what was it called again? Is it Indominus Rex? And the whole joke is like, oh, it's way cooler than any other dinosaur. It's got all the bits from the dinosaurs that are lame to make one cool dinosaur. And it's like, the T-Rex is rad. But that's the whole point of the film, is like, oh, it has to be bigger than Jurassic Park. And I feel like sometimes a lot of these things get kind of hung up on that stuff. Like, oh, zombies aren't cool anymore, but we kind of have to stick to the plot of what we've done with the zombies, so we're going to make super duper zombies. And like, it just feels a bit like, yeah, I feel like with a lot of things. Like Jurassic Park always stands up, Jurassic World, sorry, always stands out in my head is that the worst defender of it because it was so wanting you to know that dinosaurs weren't cool anymore.
It's so true though, because I do remember that where they're like, oh my god, I don't want to go and talk to dinosaurs. Oh my god, it's so lame, it's eating my brother. Oh my god. I'm like, what is wrong with you, young child? Also, do you remember the guy who was like wearing the merch?
Yes.
Almost like Jurassic
that's
Park?
a whole thing.
Yeah, that was ghoulish.
Yeah.
That's like true crime people with you know, like the insert any serial killer here on their chest and everything. Is like, you have problems. I know, obviously, they're like, oh, he's a super fan. Get this guy out. This guy has
he shouldn't work here.
This guy, I bet you any money, this guy has his own podcast. And he's like, hey, what's up? Today we're going to be talking about the Indominus Rex. Yeah, very good, very good.
It's the whole thing's just very strange. I'd like to go back and watch that. Maybe that's a review we should do at one point, is go back and try to understand Jurassic World.
I cannot stand the entire trilogy. I mean, what was the last one called? Jurassic.
I didn't see that one.
Oh, there was Jurassic World, Jurassic Kingdom, and then Jurassic. My butt hurts, you know. It's like Jurassic. I've been sitting here for so
Jurassic
long.
pain in the butt.
Jurassic pain in my. Oh, I can't even remember. But anyway, it's Dominion Domination. I don't know. Anyway, the one with the locusts. What annoyed me was there was a character in like Jurassic World who was like, "Oh, I love these velociraptors. We got to put them in the military." I'm sorry. What? You do know robots can do everything they can do, you know, and they're easily controlled as opposed to velociraptors.
I know, you got to put the velociraptors in the military, man. That's how it works.
But what I hated was the fact they tripled down. They didn't double down. They tripled down. And the second one, it's like, oh, they got the dinosaur meat market where they're like, oh, let's sell these dinosaurs to the highest bidder. It's like, what are you gonna do with a dinosaur? What?
Oh, yeah. Imagine owning a dinosaur, though.
I have a bad enough time with
I wouldn't
my
have
dog.
any pigeons in my garden, that's all I'm saying.
I'll teach those kids coming to go.
Oh no, we kicked a ball into Mr. McAllister's garden. He's got the Velociraptor.
The Stegosaurus just burst the ball. That actually happened, completely off topic, but not with a dinosaur, of course.
No, that absolutely didn't happen.
No, bear with it.
You're lying.
No, bear with you.
I grew up like 2 streets away from you. I'm sure I would have heard of it.
I'm channeling my inner King Ghidorah. I saw a real live dinosaur. I love that quote. It was very common. I think they still have them, but you know how in streets they always had the football pitches, or kind of small football pitches that were like all caged in. And I remember one time I was playing with a couple of friends. You weren't there because obviously you were dinosaur wrangling at that time. Yeah. And I remember there were these kids playing with their family and whatnot. And the dad or someone, it was one of these, you know, the really light balls you get, and they kicked it over the fence. And then all you heard was the snarling of this dog. And then 2 seconds later, the ball got thrown over, and then it went bounce, bounce, psst. It's like, oh, that dog was not happy. That dog was not happy. But sorry, just quickly touching on the trilogy. The fact that they tripled down and then they were like, oh yeah, dinosaurs in the military is the way to go. It's like, was there genuinely, do you think there was like a scriptwriter who didn't get the chance to make, I don't know, Dino Rambo? Or, I genuinely don't know, Dino Rambo, Dino Commando, what was it, Theodore Rex?
Oh, Theodore Rex, there's a film.
Oh, there's a film we need to review, but there must have been something where they had that itch and then they were like, we need dinosaurs in the military. And then they somehow made Malta in the third one. They had Malta in it, but they had it not Malta, if that makes sense. It looked like this, don't get me wrong, it is quite really warm there and everything, so they've got all the kind of sandstone buildings, but they made it look like an arid wasteland. Like, all they had was one airport and a couple of square buildings. It's like, Malta's a nice place. Go visit it.
I've been to Malta. It's nice.
Yeah, it's like, it's got cathedrals, it's got a lovely, you know, water in the middle. It's like, go see it. Or you can also get the ferry to Sicily, but that's another thing. Also, this stream isn't sponsored by Visit Malta. It's just between that and the fact they had giant locusts, and that was the big draw that they thought people were going to watch us and go, you want my dinosaur full of bugs? I would rather watch the Starship Troopers again.
I think you're going to see Theodore Rex.
Well, that's next week's Chatsu Café episode.
Oh, I can't watch it again.
What, Theodore Rex?
I remember it being awful. Was it not one of those ones that we watched and it was like truly terrible, but not like in a funny way?
Is this the one with Whoopi Goldberg? Or am I? Yeah. I didn't think it it was that bad.
Do you remember Tammy and the T-Rex?
I get those two mixed up, genuinely.
So Tammy and the T-Rex was the one with the boyfriend. It was like a younger girl and a boyfriend. I can't remember if he got hit by a car. It's like an isekai setup or whatever, but he gets stuck inside the body of a T-Rex and he falls in love with her. And then I think it was an old, outside, the actual film, making of the film, it was like an animatronic model they had. So they had to keep hiding the platform it was on in every scene. And so like every scene with this dinosaur, it'd be well covered up. It was dead funny. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that was that. And then Theodore Rex was kind of like a kooky kind of like detective film, I want to say. There's a guy in like a mascot outfit being a T-Rex.
Yeah, it was like, do you remember the show? Was it Dinosaurs? You know, the Dinosaur Family one?
Oh, yeah.
I just remember it having a really depressing ending, and that was it. So them just looking up and the asteroid hitting, and it's like, Jesus Christ, that was the 80s or the 90s. I was like, oh my. Yeah, I don't remember much of it, but do you know what film I actually see all over the place? Jim Carter. Yeah, that's it, Jim Carter. That is everywhere. Great film. Yeah, other podcasters are like, I want to review a bad film. Oh, I'm going to do Jim Carter. Oh, I'm like, why do you haunt me so? Why do you keep popping up?
I don't remember that film being
really
the
rushed.
whole joke was that he was a powerhouse gymnast, and that was like the most contrived bits. But I don't remember the film being that terrible. It's probably quite a good watch, actually. It's up there with one I'd like to watch again.
Did it not have a really rushed ending though?
Yes.
Where it was like, I could totally be wrong in this, but was it not? He defeats whoever, and they've all got him up, and then it's like there was a bill for nuclear disarmament. And then it's like, oh, we passed that, and it's like, who was that?
I can't remember. Was it Jim Carter? There was one that we watched as well, and there's a bit where a guy runs off on a horse and he knocks an extra over. Do you remember this?
Oh.
And I'm sure it might have been Jim Carter, but they knock an extra over, and they obviously didn't have the budget to retake the scene, so in the film it's just extra gets knocked over. It's mad. It's like such a huge fall the person takes. That's just real.
Just gets pancaked. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because obviously the one that we never talk about is, ironically enough, Turkish Star Wars, which is
not
no. I can't even get any joy out of it, that way. I mean, I sit there very sad. Genuinely, I got no happiness from that film. I don't think it helped that the subtitles that was on the edition that you had was maybe slightly out of sync, yeah.
Even then, it was only like 3 bits of dialogue in the whole film, and they were big, long explanations. There wasn't actually much talking in between times. It was just long sequences of just action with the Indiana Jones theme tune over it, and it feels like it should be good. I think that was, to me, the worst part about it, is it felt like it should have been good. I was excited to watch it, and it just let me down. It was no Samurai Cop.
I mean, Samurai Cop, that was a great one. Space Trucker Bruce, that was a good one as well.
Space Trucker Bruce was unfairly lumped in. This is my confession. So when we did these bad movie weeks, I would pick all the films, and I picked Space Trucker Bruce because it was on Amazon for like £1, and I'd kind of heard about it. It was like made from like a tiny budget over like so many years, and just in someone's garden, and I was like, this sounds like it's going to be terrible. And you know what? It was by far the best film we saw, to the stage where I was like, it was an actual phenomenal film, and I'm sad that we watched it as part of that, because it was too good for the concept. It wasn't a bad movie. It was an incredible movie. Like, it was truly the best movie we watched as part of that. If Turkish Star Wars didn't get on the list because it wasn't a film, this didn't get on the list because it wasn't a bad film. No.
Do you remember, what was it called? Gordon the Ninja or something?
Yes.
There's this really, I genuinely can't remember the name of it. There is a weird film. It reminds me a bit of Kung Pao. That's it. You know, the one where it's like the guy, he imposes himself. Some bits are actually quite funny, but he imposes himself on this old Chinese period kind of film, and he's pretending, to be like a Kung Fu master. And, it's a parody of it, but it's quite well done. But some of it's well done, but that's a subject for another day. But you've got this one, Gordon the Ninja, where they got the rights for a completely different film. And do you remember it was like a slice of life, or half the film?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's not even like it was like a Power Rangers kind of setup, but it was things that led into it. It was a totally different genre.
Yeah, it was like half of it they cut it. I'm laughing because half of it literally is not the same film. Half of it is this guy who is trying to, he's trying to settle into this city or something. And then the other half is just people in ninja costumes messing about. They're just trying to punch each other. And I'm like, what in the Power Rangers is going on here? And then at the very end, they try to link the two. It reminds me of the Digimon film. That way where they had Willis. It's the kind of
Willis.
The thread that put it together, yeah.
Those guys could never be Willis.
No, they can. No, nobody in Colorado could be like Willis. I'm looking at you, Colorado. But yeah, it was like at the very end they had the two and he's like, oh, Gordon, I cannot defeat the ninja because I am clearly not in your film. But here is a scroll to defeat the evil ninja. I'm going to be honest, and this is my confession of the night. I don't like ninjas, honestly. I don't think I've never found them cool, I'm going to be honest.
Whoa.
The fan base of Shadows and the Chatsunami community's just like, well, I never, and just throw a smoke bomb down.
Storming out the cafe, there's just smoke everywhere.
Yeah, it's getting very smoky in here. It's like, oh no. I mean, speaking of that, there was a lot of martial art films in that bad movie era. There was that one where, remember the woman gets possessed by a sword or something?
Oh yeah. What was that one again?
The only reason I remember that is because there was a scene where they had to chain her up because she's like possessed and she's killing people and she yells, Hanase! And the only reason we were howling so much was because we had watched the abridged for Yu-Gi-Oh! And there's a particular scene in the actual original dub where Yugi gets a card that he can attack people if he gets a monster card. So he's going, draw a monster card! Oh, and he keeps doing it over and over again. And then his friend is like, Yugi Yamate! And he goes, Hanase! And he just yells it. It is so damn good. But yeah, as soon as we heard Hanase, we were making like the soy face.
Wait, that's it.
But remember everybody's face at that point? They were like, what are you talking about? Like, yeah, so excited. Yeah, there was that one. There was just the kind of run-of-the-mill.
I think with the martial art films, it's because usually what happens with all these bad movies is it's one person that's an investor and they invest in the film and you get Fatal Deviation, Island's only martial art film. Stuff like that, where it's one person budgets it and then they want to be in the film, and therefore a martial arts film is usually the best thing to go for because you don't need a plot. The plot is person saves town. You know what I mean? And that kind of carries the whole thing. You just need to get sequences together. So that's kind of why a lot of time it's those. Fatal Deviation was a phenomenal film, but martial arts very overrepresented in that.
I think there's a lot of it. And again, as someone who's in the wrong side of 30, I'm one to talk here, but there's a lot of midlife crises going on in those films. You got your Steven Seagals and your Jean-Claude Van Dammes, and not the good Jean-Claude Van Damme ones. You've got so many where they're just like, oh yay, we're gonna kick ass. There was a weird one, I don't know if you remember this one, but it was like a guy, was he trying to find his dad or something?
Oh no.
What was that? Remember?
I can't remember.
It was like really horribly dubbed and he's like, I'm gonna find my dad or something like that. And then in the next scene he gets beaten up because it's like a trap. And I'm sure at the end they end up in like a community centre or leisure centre or something like that. I genuinely can't remember. I'm like, what happened in that film? I just remember the end and I think someone blew up. I'm not 100%.
That's also really common in these films is they get like one prop dummy and they just blow it up.
Because I mean, we watched Street Fighter and I'm going to be honest, that was probably high up on that list.
Yeah, that was one of the better ones. Like, that's the thing, like a lot of the ones that are like famously bad, because we watched obviously Mario movie, we watched Street Fighter, we watched Mortal Kombat. A lot of these ones people think they're bad and then you watch them and it's like, these are just bad within the context of the movie or whatever, or the source material. Some of these films, the other ones that we watched, were truly tragic, not even fun, just truly a terrible, terrible time for everyone. I still have a whole bunch of DVDs and Blu-rays downstairs from when we did those nights, so maybe I'll dig them out and I'll send you some.
Please don't.
No, I'm going to force you to.
Next time you're around to record an episode, it's like
popping in Jim Carter.
Minions too.
That's not a bad film, how dare you?
Do you know, I don't think I've seen Minions. I've seen bits of it actually. No, I'll tell a lie. I've seen bits of it.
It'll change your life forever.
Do you know, I saw the first one in cinemas for some reason. And I saw it again recently because it popped up on Netflix and I was like, oh, for old time's sake, why not? Kevin, you smooth talker.
Kevin.
Yeah, it's all right. Again, you know, I don't know what to say about it. It's okay. It's like, honestly, I'm one of these people that genuinely, non-ironically thinks that Despicable Me is a good film. Yeah, I genuinely think the first Despicable Me is, you know, the sequels, take them or leave them, but the first one genuinely is a good film. But it's a bit like Shrek, isn't it? In the sense that because it's become such a meme that people don't really, I'm not going to say treat it with respect, because come on, it's Despicable Me, but yeah, it's like they don't really, you know, you treat it as a joke.
This is what I was kind of laughing, because obviously there's the new Shrek coming out soon, and people are like, oh, you know, it looks so different. It's like, did you see the third one though? It can't be any worse than that.
The third one's awful. I'm going to be honest, see if we somehow have a Shrek month next year. I am so tempted.
Here we go, episode 1 Shrek, episode 2 Shrek 2, episode 3 Shrek 3 and 4, and then episode 4 we go to London, we go to the Shrek exhibit. And we do that.
Yeah, I actually saw that. I don't know if it's still there, is it?
I have no idea. I just always wanted someone else to go instead of me.
Oh, instead of you?
Yeah, I don't want to go.
So you're not coming then?
Oh, no, I'll come with you, and then I'll leave you at the last second at the door, and it'll be a funny bit. I'm like, oh, I'm right behind you, and then push, and then I won't.
I think, of all people, it was one of the other podcasters I was talking to on the channel, Myth Monsters, and we talked about this exact same thing, where we were like, oh, wouldn't it be funny to go to the Shrek exhibit? And the host was like, oh, I've been. And I'm like, what? It's like, I beg your pardon. When my partner and I went down, this was a good couple of years ago, we got off at the London Eye, right? You know, beautiful, scenic, you know, you've got the London Eye, you've got all the sights of London, and then you look across the water, and it's just Shrek Museum on exhibit.
That's what's so funny. It's the prime location in London. That could be anything else, and it's Shrek, and that's what's so funny to me.
I mean, is the musical still running?
Oh, I have no idea.
I've got no idea. Yeah, why not? Yeah. If there's any Shrek musical enthusiasts, reach out to us. Yeah, we would love to hear from you. But yeah, I genuinely don't know. I don't know if I'd like to see it, and it's something that I meant to bring up earlier when we were talking about musicals and like not to sing along to them. Have you ever been to a musical where it's like, you know that it's going to be that musical, that people are going to sing along, are going to stamp their feet, and it's not even like let's participate. It's like, you know, Mamma Mia or We Will Rock You. It's just filled with a bunch of drunk hen parties and things like that. You're like, this isn't going to end well. Yeah, have you ever been to any of them?
No, I can't say I have.
I wouldn't recommend it. It's a bit like, you know, when you go to a restaurant and things and you get rowdy patrons and things, you're like, oh God, you know, thank God we're going to the theatre. We're going to civilised whatever. And then you get in and they're there and you're like, oh God. It was the same when I went to see Avatar in the cinema, and there was a group of kids in front just causing mischief, and their mum was yelling at them saying, if you don't behave, I'm going to send you back on the bus now. Anyway, they sat 3 rows behind us. Fun times. But unfortunately, that was one of the months that we got recommended, I think. Or not recommended, but we asked people to vote on Musical Month. That would probably be a good one. But again, I don't think the Chatsu budget is that big where I'm like, hey, do you want to go to the theatre to see
Let's do 4 actual theatre reviews, pay it back on expenses. You've got the business card.
Oh, exactly. I've got the Red Panda card, which... Hold on, let me check. No. Have I got it here? No. I've not got it on me. I'll just write a very cutesy, like, IOU with a smiley face and the O. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it.
I'm sorry we didn't pay.
I'm sorry I'm in debt. Please let us in for free. I was like, no, you get out of here. Speaking of free, speaking of free, you're all free to go now.
Oh, yay.
Honestly, Martin, thank you for joining me, though.
Oh, no, it's been an absolute blast.
Honestly, we could probably go for another several hours.
Yeah, next time let's start like 2 hours earlier.
Yeah, apologies. Yeah, before we wrap up, where can these lovely Pandalorians, and I'm pointing at Martin, you know, just to show you, where can they find your content?
You can find me across all the social media places, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, usually at Martin MacAlistair. If you can't find me, just search the name Martin MacAlistair and I will appear. If you want to follow along and see all the weird and wonderful things I got up to in the world of professional wrestling.
No, thank you so much. Honestly, this has been an absolute blast, and it has been a long time in the making. You kept saying to me, when you doing Chatsu Café? And I'm like, I'm working on it.
Leave me alone.
But yeah, if you would like to check out more of our content, especially Mario Month, then you can check us out at our website, Satsunami.com, as well as all good podcast apps. I also want to thank our amazing Pandalorian patrons. I'm just going to point to the board there, right beside Martin. We have Robotic Battle Toaster, we've got Sonia, we've got Ghostie, and we have Cryptic1991. Thank you all so much for supporting the show. Honestly, you make things like this possible, so thank you so much. But if you would indeed, I'm going to stop pointing at you because it's rude, if you would like early access to episodes, exclusive content, and commentary tracks as well, if you would like to hear more of our rambles, then you can check us out at our Patreon page, patreon.com/ patreon.com/Chatsunami. This podcast is also a member of the Podpack Collective, so feel free to take a leaflet and also check them out at Podpack Collect over on Twitter/X. But until next time, thank you all so much for joining us in this debut. I hope you've had a good time. I hope your coffee isn't cold now. It probably will be, but hey, honestly, thank you all so much. But as always, stay safe, stay awesome, and most importantly, Martin, do you want to finish it off?
Stay hydrated.
Yeah.
I was going to try to think of a bit, I didn't have one.